Yeah, take those grapes and throw them at your date. What's good, y'all? Soul here, and welcome back to the story mode. At the time of this recording, it's been a little over 24 hours since our first gameplay reveal of Pokemon Legends ZA. And with those 5 or so minutes of gameplay that we finally got revealed to us, we have a lot to discuss and a lot to dissect. However, now that we've actually seen Pokemon Legends ZA, I couldn't help but ask myself, how do I feel about it? What do I like about it? What do I not necessarily like about it so far? And yes, I do think that that's a fair question to ask myself because I need to know what I like and dislike before I purchase this damn game. What did I enjoy about the trailer? What do I think needs fixings and touch-ups before we get the game in the later half of this year? I did this exact same thing with Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, Pokemon Legends Arceus, as well as Scarlet and Violet before they came out in their respective years. So naturally, of course, it only makes sense that we just go ahead and follow tradition. So why don't we go ahead and do just so? So we already know how it goes by now. Why don't you go ahead, sit down, grab a squirt, and get yourself a hearty meal, man. I recommend a burrito stuffed to the gills with rice, cheese, beans, bologna, and of course, you cannot forget your horseradish while we talk about our likes and dislikes so far when it comes to the trailer for Pokemon Legends ZA. As per usual, we're gonna go ahead and start with the things that I enjoyed first, and the very first thing, I am very appreciative that this is a modern title. In some of my previous videos, I did express my concern for the fact that this was a Legends title that didn't need to have the Legends title, in my personal opinion, because now it's just kind of strange, a little bit of an outlier. However, now that I've seen that it's not what I was expecting it to be, and I've gotten over the fact that all of my expectations have been thrown out the window, I am a-okay with the fact that this takes place during the modern era. It's really cool to know that we have a Legends title that takes place in modern day, which means that we get all of our modern equipment with our Rotom phones and all of our different Pokeballs and our healing items and what have you. Don't get me wrong, Pokemon Legends Arceus is awesome, and I love that we had limitations in that things were so very different. But ZA taking all of those ideas and putting them in the current timeline makes things a little bit more interesting. Obviously, not all of the ideas brought to life by Legends Arceus, but obviously some concepts are still very much present. The freedom of movement, all of the open areas with wild Pokemon all over the place. While it is on the more subtle side, there is still a different vibe when it comes to the Legends titles, at least from what we've seen so far. And I'm really happy about that. Like I said in my previous video, I'm really happy that they didn't just go the easy route and just go back into the past again and just do the same thing all over again, but now with Kalos and a different story. This really goes to show that the dev team can be really innovative and unique when they have the chance to do so. And when I say that, that doesn't just stop at the fact that this is a modern game that blew away all of our expectations. We'll get to more stuff that tacks onto my point. The next thing that I've come to enjoy is the fact that they actually really did stick to their guns and make it so that the entire game does appear to take place solely exclusively in Lumiose City. Again, to be fair, I was coming into this with a very different set of expectations because of what Pokemon Legends Arceus set beforehand. In Legends Arceus, we had Jubilife Town set as our hub, and then we would travel to all of these different environmental zones. And all of them were enormous! They were huge! There was so much to do in every zone. So naturally, after we got the initial trailer for Legends ZA and they told us, yeah, this game takes place exclusively in Lumiose, we got a little concerned because we just couldn't fathom how in the world they could possibly accomplish doing a half of what they did in Legends Arceus with such limited space in one city. Now, because we don't have the game, I'm not going to sit here and lie. Part of me is still a little worried because how in the world are they going to accomplish all of these different zones in such a massive way that makes the game still feel massive? However, I'm not nearly as nervous as I was before because we've now seen what the city currently looks like. Not only are there massive gates that separate the wild areas from the hub areas, but there's like a ton of them. We've seen at least up to like 6 or 7, right? Meaning that the farther we progress in the game, the more access we're gonna have to more unique Pokemon in different sections of the city. Which means that we're going to have a ton of different things to look forward to when exploring this city. And again, I am not just referring to the wild areas. All of those hub areas are probably going to have access to a lot of different shops and things. On top of the fact that trainers are back too. So you're gonna be battling a ton of trainers, whether it be in the wild area, maybe it's gonna be in the regular hub areas if they allow that to happen. That would be really, really cool, and that excites the hell out of me. All of this being stemmed onto the fact that every new hub area is going to have a lot of new stuff to look forward to. New side quests and challenges, new shops to get more cosmetics or whatever else you're looking for. And probably more stuff that I can't really think of right now because we have no idea what else this game is going to offer us, but it's probably going to be really neat. The point here is that they have definitely lessened the blow of the idea of being stuck in one specific city for the entirety of the game by making the city in of itself very interesting. And now I'm more so looking forward to it than being nervous about it. Especially when you introduce the concept of something like teleporter elevators to get to the top of buildings and utilizing your Rotom phone to parkour from building to building. We have absolutely no idea how much freedom we're gonna have in this game, but the idea of that possibility makes me ecstatic. I believe I mentioned this in my initial reaction to the gameplay trailer, but it kind of reminds me of the Infamous series, where a majority of those games you are spending like 90 to 95% of your time in one massive city. I never really thought about that as a kid because there was always just so much to do, so many things to see, and so many events that made things so fun that being in one place was not all that big of a deal because the city in of itself was fun. It really felt alive, you know? I guess it's such a strange concept with an RPG, or even more specifically Pokemon, because usually that's not a thing. We have always traveled from city to city, from town to town, from place to place. So the initial concept was kind of foreign, but now that we've seen it in action, I feel a little bit better about that. Just saying, if you're nervous about all of this taking place in one city, just go check out the Infamous series, and you'll get a much better vibe as to what I'm talking about here. The next thing that I want to mention here is the fact that, again, now that I've slept on it, they actually did improve a bit on the Scarlet and Violet art style. I think it's safe to say that me, you, and plenty of others have definitely been a little traumatized from the Scarlet and Violet art style. I'm no tech demon or anything like that, and I'm sure plenty of you guys could explain in detail as to why that is, but my primary takeaway is simply the fact that those games were just not optimized well by any means. I can't really speak for everybody on this, but when I see that art style, I associate it with problems. Problems with lighting, problems with glitches, problems with frame rates, and a million different other things. Now, this is not me saying that the gameplay trailer looks perfect or anything like that. Of course, the gameplay could still use a little bit of work. However, it's not as bad as I thought it was my initial time watching it. It looks a lot more solid than before. The city has a lot of detail to it, the water looks a lot cleaner, and the character models look even better and more detailed than before, and I can really appreciate that. That also goes for the models of the Pokemon too, by the way. Love the way that they look. Now, keep in mind, it did technically say that this is early footage, so nothing here is final. And I know that might sound like we're biting ourselves in the ass by hoping it'll look better down the line, especially because we're getting it this year. But it is very possible that it does already look a lot better than what we're seeing now. We also got to keep in mind here, it's very possible that the footage that we're looking at is specifically Switch 1 gameplay footage. We're getting a new console with a little bit better power output at some point in this year, meaning that the footage that we're seeing probably does not look or run nearly the same on this brand new console. Again, that's totally up to optimization, so that's down to Game Freak, because that has definitely been a problem in the past, not gonna lie, but it is possible that it looks a little bit better than what we're expecting now. But you know what? I'm not really gonna hold my breath on that, because at the end of the day, as long as the gameplay is fun, if Scarlet and Violet and Pokemon Legends Arceus taught me anything, it could still be a very, very solid game. Of course, how the game feels and runs is important, absolutely, but if it's fun enough, there are some things you can manage to look past. The next thing on my positive list here is that the characters and their drip look absolutely phenomenal this time around. And I'm not just talking about the main characters either. Outside of their fedoras, of course, they look phenomenal. But the rival and or best friend character that's gonna be around, absolutely love their design. Can't wait to get to know, what was it, Urbane and Tawny, right? And don't get me started on AZ, boy, that man swagged out of his mind. Oh my goodness, brother. I can't wait to get to know the new AZ, the one that's running his hotel and doing his thing, bro. Can't wait to get to know him. However, and I only noticed this today upon rewatch of the trailer, but the characters that we're playing as definitely look a little on the older side, right? Now, if my assumptions are correct on how we're gonna be playing through this game and like the progression system, we could be playing as an older trainer, and nothing makes me happier than that very specific possibility. Because if that's the case, Legends just opened up the floodgates to so many possibilities that I'm gonna lose my mind talking about it probably very soon, maybe even within the week. We're gonna talk so much more about this. But it's good to know that we're possibly playing as a new main character with a completely original history, not connected to anything else, and they got a little swag on them, you know what I'm saying? Those jackets look kind of tough. I would for sure buy one of those. Now, the character models in this style have always looked good to me, but this time around, they look better than ever, and I really appreciate that. So I can't wait to see these characters in action. They look super good, and I am really looking forward to it. Now, the last major thing, and probably the most important thing that I'm definitely, again, gonna save for a very specific video sometime this week, is the fact that the battle system looks awesome, dude. This mechanic right here really just goes to show that Pokemon Legends is a testing ground, an experimental testing field where they can throw whatever they have at the wall to see what sticks and see how much fun they can have with the things that did stick for them. Now, I've seen a lot of jokes flying around about how Pokemon Legends EA is essentially Xenoblade Chronicles 3. I mean, you could go ahead, you could chuckle at that, but me personally, I am a massive fan of Xenoblade Chronicles 3, so that is not a problem for me whatsoever. This is the first game in the mainline series to not be turn-based. Do you understand how crazy that is? Now, don't get me twisted. I absolutely love turn-based RPGs. A lot of my favorite games are turn-based RPGs. However, when you grow up with the Pokemon anime and you see these things moving freely, dodging when being told to dodge a move, and actively using back-to-back moves and things like that, pairing them up and things like that, you can't help but wonder, when are we gonna be able to do some stuff like that? And no, I'm not counting Pokken Tournament in this situation because that's a literal fighting game. I'm talking about traditional, raw Pokemon battles in the mainline games. Cause this, by and far, could possibly be the closest thing we'll ever have to that. And that's so exciting because while I love turn-based RPGs, the one thing that I've noticed that action RPGs usually have over turn-based is the fact that the combat is a little more engaging when you don't have time to just sit there and plot out every single one of your moves. Now that we have a situation in which our Pokemon move alongside us and we can actually hit Pokemon before they get us with a absolutely town-leveling attack, I don't know, man, that's kind of exciting, I can't front. Having real-time combat is going to change the game and the strategy so immensely throughout our playthroughs, it's gonna be absolutely insane. I literally don't know what to expect here. And I don't know about you guys, but me personally, there's something about it that makes the game feel so much more alive, you know? There's something so neat about the idea of like running into a Garbodor in the middle of town or in the middle of a city or whatever, and they're all trying to attack you at once, Trubbish and Garbodor, and you're just dodging and defending yourself because that's how wild Pokemon could be acting. They just want to harm you maybe. I don't know. It's just so different, and I love that energy. I don't know about y'all, I can't speak for everybody, but me personally, that is easily the most exciting part about Pokemon Legends EA, is the fact that we're getting an action RPG, essentially. And I can't wait for that. I really can't. Now, we are flipping the coin to talk about dislikes. However, I only really have one issue so far. And the only problem I have, and let me explain myself after I say this, and I'm sure a lot of you can agree, probably plenty of you disagree, but the starter choices were very strange. Now, before anything gets twisted, let me make it very clear. Each of the individual Pokemon themselves, I don't have an issue with. Meganium and Feraligatr are both very phenomenal options for your playthrough of Pokemon Silver, Gold, Heart Gold, Soul Silver. I had a good time utilizing all of them in my multiple playthroughs of those games. And like I said in one of my previous videos, Tepig is my favorite starter of 5th gen. I love Tepig. I like Emboar a lot. I never knew what anybody's problem was with that Pokemon, but he was always my favorite. So don't get me wrong, the starter options are fine, but why did we not diversify a little bit more here? In Pokemon Legends Arceus, we had options from Generation 2, 5, and 7. So I'm just saying, would it really have been all that crazy to pick another starter from Generations 4, 6, 8, or 9? I think I said this already, but like what, Turtwig couldn't have filled the grass role perfectly fine? Were Grookey, Froakie, and Sprigatito out to lunch the day y'all were picking options? Like, what's going on over here? For sure, plenty of people are gonna change their tunes the moment that they see either a new form or a new Mega Evolution for these starters. Because there is, no doubt in my mind, a 99% chance we are getting one or the other. And they are gonna be really cool transformations, and that's gonna determine who we pick. Again, still leaning towards Emboar right now, but who knows? Maybe Meganium's final form is gonna go absolutely balls to the wall and make me pick Meganium. Also, nobody else is picking Meganium. I don't know why people hate Chikorita like that, but Chikorita's a fine Pokemon. It's just weird that they picked 2 Generation 2 Pokemon over any of the other 8. Strange. Very odd decision that I'm sure will get explained at some point, maybe, possibly. But, I mean, there probably won't be any lore purposes behind this, but whatever. It is what it is. The point is, that's my only real gripe with the game, and even so, that's not even that big of a deal. Other than that though, the more that I look at this trailer, the more I start to realize that this game looks like a lot of fun, and I am so insanely looking forward to being able to play this game, to utilize these new battle mechanics, to see all of these new Mega Evolutions, and to see what this story and urban development plan of Lumiose City has in store. So I'm really excited. It looks like a solid game, and I'm sure that once we get our hands on it, it's gonna be a lot of fun, but I can't speak for y'all, because hey, you know what? Maybe that is just me. So that just about wraps it up for this one. This is for sure not going to be the last positive and negatives, good and bad list video that we're going to see during this little new season of Pokemon Legends EA. So, you know, make sure to stick around for that. And also, you know, we're probably going to do one with your opinions. I want to see what you guys are thinking. So make sure you subscribe, make sure you join the Discord, and keep an eye on the community tab, because I'm going to be doing a video soon, probably even before this video comes out. Actually, I'm gonna do a discussion video with your guys' opinions soon, so make sure you lock in for that, because it's gonna happen soon. But with all that being said, I'm passing the mic over to you guys, and I want you guys to tell me everything that you guys are thinking in the comments section below. Do you think that my positives and negatives are valid? Do you agree with everything that I'm liking and disliking? Is that something you can get with, or are you on the opposite side of things? You're on the other side of the fence. Every single one of these things that I've listed in the positives is a negative, and what I mentioned in the negative is actually a positive. Tell me everything you guys are thinking in the comment section below, because you know for a fact that I am always going to be down there with you guys. But with that, yes sir, it does appear to be Skedaddle O'Clock, so I'm going to go ahead and do just that. I would like to thank you guys ever so much for watching. I truly do hope you enjoyed. Do me the greatest favor of dropping a like and a comment, and consider subscribing for more content just like this here. And with that, I'm gone. So thanks again, hope you enjoyed, and I'll be seeing you guys in the next video. Do me the greatest favor of taking good ass care, and I'll see you all next time.